Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Destiny 2 video, and today I want to talk about some of the information that surfaced last night in this week's Bungie blog post. While admittedly still a little vague right now, Bungie did share some insight into their future content plans beyond the season stuff they spoke about last week. If you missed the information on seasons and want to know what they are and how you'll be able to earn some gear like this and how seasons will affect the game, then I'll leave a link to my video in the description box down below. Of course, if you do enjoy this and you find it helpful, then a like would be super appreciated. And be sure to comment down below and let me know what you guys think of some of these upcoming changes. Now, to begin with, the main information this week comes from game director Christopher Barrett, where he speaks about some of the other content updates they have planned for the game outside of the season stuff. Seasons is something that is being handled by the live team, meanwhile this other stuff will go alongside that. To begin with, he said, and I quote, "We've been playing the game in the wild for 7 weeks, and like the Destiny experiences that have come before, we're always thinking about where the game is heading next. We're still planning when a bunch of the improvements listed below are going to make their way into the game, but we wanted to let you know what we're up to. Here's a short list of updates we are working on. The first item in that list is new systems and rewards to give our most engaged players additional optional pursuits." Now yes, right now there are no further details on this, no idea whether this is another pointless cosmetic gear pursuit or whether it'll actually allow us to chase some sort of meaningful, powerful gear. But it's fair to say that we are in need of something else to do, some sort of endgame activity to keep us busy and give us something to aim for. When you factor in that raid gear, faction gear, Iron Banner gear, and any other gear for that matter, aside from the looks and the base intrinsic perk for that set, there's really no difference in all of those items, and as such, there's little to no incentive to chase some of the more challenging items if they don't really yield any sort of benefit. Of course, whatever they do have planned is going to be optional and is unlikely to see us break past the, say, 305 power cap. I reckon that's going to be something they'll save for the DLC. If it's interesting and meaningful, then it could at least be fun to chase, give us something to do for the kind of interim period. But again, until they tell us exactly what their plans are, we don't really know for sure. Following on from there, they then want to give better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities. Again, right now, the raid is the perfect example. Literally the only difference in prestige and normal mode gear is the look, which in turn removes any sort of incentive to actually push through and complete the more challenging activities more than once. Whether that be guaranteed loot drops, more recognition items, or better still, cool weapons, will of course remain to be seen, but that is something they want to work to improve and it's something they definitely need to do. On top of that, they want to provide better rewards and replay value for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors. Back in Destiny 1, strikes had heroic variations. This is just one example of something they could bring back, and they could also then apply this to adventures and lost sectors alike. These are all cool activities that people don't really do too much past their first completion, so bringing them up to date would allow for yet more stuff in the weekly ritual. I mean, if on a weekly basis we could then jump in and do lost sectors, do strikes, do adventures, and do all the raids and everything else we do, it just starts to build up a big activity pool to keep us busy in between those resets. On top of that, they are going to be bringing back private matches for the competitive community. They did say, however, that they are targeting 2018 for this, the beginning of 2018 that is. This will of course be really cool because it's something that got added in Destiny 1 late in its life cycle, and it's something that people enjoyed messing around with and using to make, you know, cool videos, machinima, setting up cool weapon test experiments, just anything like that. Basically a chance to kind of jump in, control the space, and do whatever you want in that open sandbox. Having that back in the game will bring back that sort of sandbox feel, and hopefully they'll also give us more options this time around, because in Destiny 1 it was cool, it did have rather limited options, so hopefully they kind of go bigger and better this time around. But that is something they're targeting for the beginning of 2018. On top of that, they're also promising Crucible tuning, like adjusted supremacy scoring and better spawning rates, better incentives for completing Crucible matches and penalties for quitting competitive games, and continued improvements to Iron Banner and faction rallies, including uniqueness of rewards. They already mentioned in the Seasons livestream that they plan to allow you to use legendary shards to buy some weapons during Iron Banner in Season 2, so that's something, but again, the uniqueness of rewards is going to be important. Hopefully that means sort of a shift away from some of these sort of reskins and just like weapons we've seen before, gear we've seen before, just a slightly different paint job, because of course, again, if you have something that looks different and actually, you know, excites you and makes you want to chase it, then again, that's going to kind of give us more stuff to aim for. They also plan to make changes to the mod economy to make it more interesting and impactful. This is something I am very interested to hear more about. The mod system is a system that has a lot of potential, but right now just isn't being used to its fullest. The question, however, is whether they plan to make changes to the core system or just the economy, the way in which you acquire them. But again, for that, we will have to wait and see. They also plan to make ongoing improvements to exotics, including adjustments to reduce instances of duplication, They will give us new ways to spend surplus currency materials, specifically, legendary shards. And finally, after all this time, an emote interface that allows players to equip salty, spicy ramen, 6-shooter, and flip out all at the same time. Basically what that means is it's a chance to map all 4 directions on your D-pad. So you don't just, typically right now, you map the left direction, that is your custom emote, and the other ones are, your predictable wave, basic dance, and sit. But let's be honest, I think a lot of those ones don't get used that much, and people would much rather put their custom emotes in there themselves. Maybe you want to have 4 dances, 4 exotic emotes, whatever it is. They're finding an added interface where you can customize all 4 of those things. They then round out the post by saying that there is more, and they will talk again soon. We also have the upcoming DLC on the horizon, which in itself will likely bring some drastic new changes and much needed content on top. But in the meantime, if some of those changes can be introduced sooner rather than later, then we could be looking at a much richer, more fleshed out weekly experience, giving us more variety in what we do and giving us some more stuff to earn. Bungie did say they have more live streams in November planned, and they haven't announced what they will focus on just yet. I am guessing the DLC, but it's also entirely possible that some of those might focus on the content coming to the game in the immediate future. But for now, that's pretty much it. There were a few patch notes, so I'll link the blog post down below in case you guys want to read them for yourself, but in short, they fixed the bug with the emote where people were using it to glitch through the walls, and they made some alterations to the Crucible game mode, changes to score limits and stuff like that. We also have the very first Raid Challenge mode dropping next week, October 31st, so I'll be sure to keep you guys posted on that when we do know more, and I will of course have a full guide for you guys that want to do it. Apologies, there was no prestige guide this time around, but I was in Japan when the raid went live, so I didn't really have a chance to cover that at the time, but there will be complete challenge mode guides over the coming weeks. But in the meantime, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.